one of the most challenging things to consume is innovation. And we brought BioCatch here on stage to discuss how they work with multinational companies and how they manage to have these multinational companies actually consume innovative, disruptive technology that was developed by BioCatch. And it's my pleasure to invite on stage Giulio Carvalho to join me on stage and discuss quickly what they do.
Thanks, Lali. Thanks for having me, guys. Bom dia. So, if we can get started, what you're looking at here are 4 different examples of how you use your cell phone, how you use your smartphone when using a mobile app, or a banking app, or anything that is in your smartphone. So here we can see the biometric profile for 4 different people. And what we're doing at BioCatch is we are collecting this kind of information to create a unique profile for each of you, so we can compare if you are really you when you come back to that application, so we can fight fraud. So there are 3 big challenges nowadays when you talk about cybersecurity and fraud detection, and here are some of the examples. So first of all, authenticate the users. So we need to make sure that we are authenticating the users, but we're not putting that much friction in this process. Nobody likes to have an OTP, a password, a token, an SMS, and everything just to see your account, right? So this is something that the market has been fighting, because in one side you have what is security, and on the other side you have customer experience, right, or customer journey. So you have to balance this. The second is, how do you ensure that the account is being protected and that it's actually not a fraudster using that credential? So if someone captures your credential, how to make sure that a fraudster can't do a transaction with that, right? And maybe the third is new account frauds or account opening. So nowadays you can open your banking account using your smartphone, right? You can open any kind of accounts, maybe telco. You can sign up for different services online. You don't have to go to a physical branch. So you need to ensure that it's not a fraudster using your data, because if I have your information and I can open a bank account using your information, or ask for a credit card using your information and get the credit card being sent to my home. So how can we protect from that? And this is what we've been doing. I'm not going to tell you how we've been doing this, because I have a session later today where I'm going to explain how we do it in Portuguese. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the problems, right? So when I talk about user authentication, as I said, here, again, 6 different examples. You can see, for example, they have, in the very first example here, like a millennium using both thumbs to scroll a screen, right? You can see that on the third example, there's someone with a shaky hand, maybe an elderly, another person, but everybody behaves in a unique way. If you're using your smartphone like this, maybe you're older than someone that's using your smartphone like this. And you capture even the pressure that you put on the screen, so you can create your personal profile. When we talk about using this power to fight fraud, this is what we can make. So here it's a good example. If you start looking from this side, the computer, it was actually a fraud that we prevented in a bank in UK. It's a £1.6 million fraud that we prevented that looked like the real customer. So if you look at the machine, it's the real machine. If you look at the location, it's the location. And it's like the banks have been fighting every day here in Latin America, because now we can get infection. So your machine can get infected and someone can use your machine to do transactions, right? So this was a trusted device coming from a trusted location. But the way the fraudster behaved was different from the way the real user behaved. In this case, we realized that the user was scrolling the screen using one kind of way, which was the scroll with the mouse. But the fraudster, he used it a different way. He used the arrows. Another difference was the fraudster was doing Alt Tab, changing screens, and the user didn't. And last but not least, the user typed the information and the fraudster pasted. So he got from another place, copied it, and pasted it into the form. So the machine was the same, the location was the same, but wasn't the same behavior. And this is where we're looking at. So we blocked this. We told the bank, and they blocked the transaction, real time. When we talk about opening accounts, onboarding, digital onboarding, right? We don't know the user. So it's the very first time we're seeing the user. So how can you tell that it's a fraudster or a user? How can you separate them? So here we're focusing on three big things. First is data familiarity. So for example, when you go to an online form and have to type your CPF, right? You know your CPF from the back of your heart because you know your CPF and you use your CPF every day. When a fraudster will create an online account using someone else's data, it won't use long-term memory. It will use short-term memory. So they will either copy and paste information or type it in chunks, like 3 and 3 or 4 and 4 chunks of data, because they can't memorize the whole 13 digits that a CPF has. So this is basically one of the ways that we detect, but another way is application fluency. When you look at the application, the form you're gonna fill, you don't know the form, right? So you have to read through this. The fraudster, they already know the form, so they go straight to the form filling part. They know what to put in there, and they do it very quickly. So again, different behavior. And the third, navigational fluency. So you have your way to use your mouse, your keyboard. When you need to change from one field to another, you're probably using tab. When you need to get back, what are you gonna do? Some of you are going to take the mouse and click inside the field. Others are more advanced and are going to use Shift Tab, which is going one field back. So this is different for each of you. And when we combine all this power, we create unique profiles to separate you from another person and you from a fraudster. And we're very, very happy to expand that fast. So right now, we are not just a startup anymore. We're about 100 people now, global-wide, 4 in Brazil. And some of the brands that you're seeing here are known to you, and other brands are also known to you, but not public. So we're very happy to expand that fast.
BioCatch, even more impressive than the technology, is the easiness of integration into a core business of a bank. Doing business with a bank is very challenging, and you've been very successful in consuming POCs and converting POCs into paying customers. Maybe you can spend a quick minute on this.
Yeah, usually what we do, Lali, is we start with a pilot, and it usually takes 6 weeks. So with a 6-week pilot, we can identify different use cases and start implementing those security measures. So we can give something, even though it's not a product itself, a project itself, it's still a POC, but we are already protecting and guaranteeing the revenue assurance. So this is something good for us, the way we can adapt to each bank, because it's a simple solution, but we can adapt to each customer's core banking. So this makes us very proud.
Thank you very much, Julio.
Thank you, Lana.
I think it's been a pleasure for us as investors in BioCatch to observe the growth of the company and the easiness of consuming POCs and converting into value-driven collaborations for the banks and the different multinational companies.